Welcome, everyone. Today's going to be the first episode of our Refined Journey podcast. Our purpose is we want to dig deep into keeping God at the center and pursuing our growth in life, business, and as well as our walk with the Lord. Here with me, I have Favian and I'm Davian. And I want to always tell a story in these episodes. And Fabian's going to be here helping us throughout that. And I want to ask him today, why did you want to start this? What led you to this? Why did you feel called to do this?
I always want to be open and in all these podcasts because honestly, the two biggest reasons was I'm a big business minded guy, and not a lot of people know who I am in the business world. And not saying I'm a big shot or anything like that, but I just know that I need to push out content. But also, I do have my pastoring license, and I do hurt for the lost or the confused, or however you want to really look at that. And I do have wisdom, and from a childhood that I grew from, very hard, dad in and out of prison, and to the point where he did get locked up for around 10 years. So I didn't really have him growing up. And a mom who struggled with addictions, but loved me and my siblings the best way they knew how. And ever since I got saved, I got to love and pour into these type of people. And so I learned that I love uplifting people, and that kind of poured into the business side of things. And I love it. And so now I'm here with you, and it's kind of the same thing. And I like doing it in businesses, where I've learned that I don't really have traction. And I'm not saying I'm looking for traction, but I want to put myself out there. I do struggle putting myself out there, talking, speaking. So this podcast has a lot of round-ended things where the Lord really led me saying, you are who I created you to be. I can use you. But I always been, for it's being frank, scared or fearful. So this is a big step of faith in taking on the identity that I have and the testimony I do have, and also mixing it with business, wisdom, and just having fun. But yeah.
You shared a little bit of your story of your childhood. How did you navigate through that? Because I know in a lot of situations that we can feel so lost and hopeless and not really have anything to cling on to. What was your drive? What kept you going?
The coolest thing was we are saving my story for a testimony on another episode, but this is a great snippet. I did wrestle when I was young. My thought, though, was my head coach, and it really taught me determination and just keep moving forward. But workouts sucked. It really did. But I learned something when I was a kid. It was Hell Week is going to end. It's only a week. If I could just make it till a week. But when I went home to the harshness of whether if my mom was struggling with her addictions or just missing a father, I knew this will end. There will be a better time in the future. Even before I met the Lord, that's something I learned was just persevere. It was just a hard-headed stubbornness of being I don't want to give up. There was times where I was low, times I did want to give up, but at the time I see now, I didn't see it then, but the Lord really sprinkled hope in little places where I was able to be I can make it till tomorrow. And so growing up then, it was there's an end to this. And then also teach me that there's also end to good things. So enjoy the good things while they last. And so just always being on that happy medium, that fine line where it was just bad things will end, good things will end. But the cool part is you just keep moving forward.
That was beautiful. I also wanted to ask you, what is your vision for this podcast? What are you hoping to reach?
My vision is to reach a lot of different demographics, but recently, those who are in my classroom, I do have students now. The Lord really opened a door for me to teach kids video production, photography, and graphic design and branding. And so these are 3 different classes or courses I teach, and I have 5 classes, and I have around 75 kids. And my vision is to I'm teaching these kids, and something they're showing me is they come up to me with these questions do you think I could do this? I have this idea, this business plan, and I'm why not? And so I'm doing this podcast because I'm practicing what I'm preaching to these kids and teaching these kids, and it's why not? I have a best friend. His name is Ethan McAfee. And I remember at one point in time, I was trying to do a business journey. I was like 19. This is right like before COVID started, but COVID was already kind of the thing before like the lockdown happened. And I remember I was kind of doubtful because I had a family member and I talked to them about my dreams. And they said, yeah, right. You can't retire early. You can't do these things. And it really like damaged my hopes and dreams because it was like a dream in baby form. And I just learned that things like that could die so soon. But once I met Ethan, he told me, I kind of like opened up to him. I told him what I want to do. And he told me, why not? And from there, that day forward, I was just like, why not? So my vision for this podcast is like, whether someone is struggling with their faith, struggling with like just logical things in life, or even their business stuff, and just their dreams are low, or they're in a dark place, or people are just wanting to navigate their business or life situations. And I'm able to be like, why not? Or this is how I figure it out. And I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I could definitely say I have a testimony that can carry and can inform and bring hope. And so I'm not saying my life was harder than anyone else's or what, but I know there's some people who are just longing for a connection, longing for an answer, longing for a direction. And so my vision with this podcast is just to give that to said person. And also helps me. This podcast too is going to be a journey of growth for both of us. And I'm 24 and I'm still young, very young. I'm not even a quarter of my life done with my life yet. So like I'm still learning things. And so I want this to be like something too where I too learn things and show it, or in the process of learning things. And so I want to be open. I want to be truthful. I just want to operate it because I do believe the Lord laid this on my heart to start this.
For our quote, it's faith isn't knowing every step ahead. It's trusting God's hand where you see dread. In regards to this, what is something that you would like to leave these people, and further like elaborate on that? Like, what's your take on that? Like, how do you feel to the people who, like you said, are hurting him?
Well, with that, like we all heard maybe the verse like lead by faith, not by sight. But it's even a deeper thing like that. It's like, again, I don't know all the answers, but I do know that I can't deny what the Lord has done in my life and the doors he has opened. And so it's more of a trusting in the Lord and knowing his word and knowing what he has done. And like in my life, even if I lead these, whoever's listening, I'm not saying, like I want to be in a humble place. I'm not saying I'm leading them, but the Lord just gives me an open door to pour in. And so operating in faith and not by sight and just falling where the Lord has me, because it's a big standard of agape love. I'm going to put myself underneath the Lord, above my wife. I am married. I'm above my wife. I don't have kids yet, but even if I had kids, above my kids, I'm going to put myself underneath the Lord, above my family, above my church, above my business. And so when the Lord does pour into me, I can pour into my wife, which then in turns will overflow, pour into my kids, the rest of my family, my church, my business. And so being in that steady place, knowing that no matter what, the Lord is going to keep me full, keep me safe and protected. Because I did share a little bit of my testimony, but it took a lot of heartache, a lot of angry prayers, being upset with the Lord to get to a place like I now see that even if I don't see that you're working, I know you're working. I know you're doing something. You could take away my family. You could take the things away that I love, because in my testimony, that's what had happened. And still, I know you are still working because you saw an outcome that I couldn't plan for. And so through all the heartache, through all the frustrations, through all the angry prayers, the Lord always showed up at the end. And so I lead in that. I stand in that. So it's not that really the fact that I will lead people. It's the fact knowing that the Lord laid this on my heart, and I know He will lead me, and whoever does follow, because it's His works. It's not mine.
So it's like a willingness, you could say, like a willingness to be used in whatever capacity, even if it was something necessarily, I guess you didn't want, or that wasn't an area you felt specialized in. But in the Bible, it says God doesn't
Qualified.
qualify the called. Or no, He qualifies the called, but
yeah. So by His stripes, and so He makes us qualified. I don't know what scripture that was, but yeah, just because He called you by name in the situation, no different how He called Moses. Even though Moses, like, no, I have stutter. No, actually, no, I can't lead these people. I killed a man.
He didn't call the qualified. He qualified the called.
Okay. Yes,
there we go. There we go.
That's
the basis behind it.
Yes, and so I don't really feel qualified. I'm a shy guy. I don't like being on camera, so this is all new to me. But
it's a journey.
It's a journey, and I'm willing to step in that and just see what He does with it. I'm just saying yes. I'm just here, and I'll talk if I can in what I know on the subject. But yeah. All right, enough about me, Davian. So my name is Favian, Favian, and this is Davian. So funny how it all worked out, how we gone close, but his name is Davian, so we just replaced the first letter for names. But I saw Davian. He was a kid. He came up to me one time because I play guitar, and he was like, man, I really love the way you play. And the way I play is like freestyle, and something I do really like doing, and it's just like kind of in the wind. But he came up to me as a kid, and he just says, I love the way you play. And I always saw something in Davian. And I go to church, and we go to youth camps a lot and different things. And youth camp usually has a class about media and for the cameras and stuff. And he would always go in there, and he would start directing and start doing stuff. So I saw a passion with media. And those who don't know, I do run a media business. I do wedding films, wedding photography with my wife. She has her photography business. And do other things for other businesses, whether it's like creating ads or doing podcasts with them or for them. And just a lot of stuff, running a camera, helping influencers, just so much. And so I know a lot about a camera. And so when I saw this seed and I saw this passion, and I wanted to see if someone would take him seriously, and I was one of the people who took a chance on him. Now he's my second shooter, my go-to second shooter for all my weddings, all this stuff, and he's operating. And so we get to hang out a lot, whether it's editing, doing stuff. And now he is on a church team that was newly founded, and he's helping out with their media and just so much stuff. So I see this kid growing in his purpose and his passions. And so this is Davian. But I want to ask you, Davian, like, what's brought you up to this point? Like, to the point where you are here now talking on this podcast, you gave me your yes, and just your passions too, of like media, the Lord. And you could touch a little bit about your testimony, because he's going to have his own designated episode about his testimony. But I just want to hear just a snippet about you. Tell us about you.
I have a really big heart. I feel that's something that God has placed on me and given me to love people in a capacity that I feel often that I feel like not as if like I'm saying I am Jesus, but I feel like sometimes I was placed in positions where I had to love people like Jesus did. Expect nothing in return, to be forgiving them in a sense. And there's just a constant yearn in my heart to do something for God. And I love the verse that in the book of Romans that Paul talks about how he wrestles with himself. It's just pure and raw emotion of how he wants to do the right thing, and he hates that he does the wrong thing, because we're naturally in a battle against our flesh. We're against the spirits, and there's just a constant yearning to do something for the Lord ever since I was younger, and ever since last year's youth camp. When I saw Favian with the camera and I saw a gimbal for like the first time, it sparked something in me, because I have a genuine passion in photography and videography. And even from this year going into editing, like I feel I have a passion for the Lord for that. I feel I love doing wedding videos, but there's something doing it for the Lord and knowing that when I take that video and I record that person and they are able to receive the breakthrough that they've been praying and believing that they would receive, if they could just touch the hem of the Lord's garment and just get that healing, and to know that I recorded that specific moment and later on they ask for it, like, and they get that video, they'll remember the same feeling. Like there's a scent theory that there's some scents that we'll never be able to forget, that we have memorized and engraved in our brain. And to know that when they look at that video, they'll feel what they felt in that moment. They'll reminisce on it and they'll feel the aroma, the posture of where their heart was with the Lord. And even from posting that video, from, let's just say I was struggling with something, like I was struggling with depression, and Favian is in the video and he got breakthrough for depression, anxiety, and suicide. And seeing that as a completely new person, if he did it, then surely that means I can get that healing too. And that's what I want. I want to be a vessel for God. And I know the Lord has given me a talent and a creativity and an eye to see things that some people can't. And there is a willingness on me, but capacity is nothing without commitment. That's something my spiritual leader just told me recently. You could have the talent, you could be able to know and do anything, but unless you have commitment and discipline and consistency, that goes in vain. And I have a capacity, but unless I practice my commitment on doing it for the Lord and instead making it about him instead of myself, that's when the doors begin to open. I feel like the enemy has tried my entire life to take me out, whether it had been my body or my mind. But recently I've come into the place that there's a moment that we all experience in our lives that when God's all we have left, and we know he's like all we need. And it takes a hard time to get to that. But having that willingness now and coming onto this podcast, I want to be able to be used as a vessel. And I'm asking God to use me in any way that can be, whether he speaks through me and says something to Favian, whether it be to one of you guys or anything like that. I just want to be used and put into positions that God would want me to be in so he can reach the harvest, so he can reach the one that's broken, because the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Just a big heart and being gifted to see others people's hurt is something that the Lord really given you. All right. And so like, I know I'm the one who asked you to be on here. I know, like, hey, I feel like we'd be a good duo. But like, do you have a vision as well?
My vision for this is I want to reach a crowd, and I want to reach the people who are yearning like me. Sometimes we look for the right thing, but we look for it in the wrong people, the wrong places, and in the places we know we shouldn't be in. I believe that since God made us, he knows us deeply, but he placed this hole, I guess you could say, inside of us that can only be filled by him, by his word, by his heart, and by his spirit.
That's good.
And we try to look to fill that void, whether it be people, relationships, drugs, music, all of it. And we just end up feeling so empty. So I want to reach the crowd that's looking for something. They want something different. They want something new, but they're so hurt and they might be scared to even try it. But I want us to be used by God, to be shown as a testament that if he did it for us, then he can do it for you guys.
That's so good. That's so good. I feel like this is long enough for the first episode. You guys get to know our hearts and just a little taste of our testimonies and what we're wanting to do here. So I feel like we're good. Thank you for joining us for our first ever episode of, what's it called again?
Refined Journey.
The Refined Journey podcast. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much. And we're going to be cranking out episodes as much as we can. We're right now, hopefully we're going to start posting every Saturday. So you could look forward to that every Saturday. Sweet. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.